In this section of the training, we will teach users how to generate customer visit reports and visit reports for other zone. Starting from the map layer, or you could start from the summary layer, first step is to click on Zones and Messages, then click on Customer Visits. This opens up a worksheet where we can configure our report. The first step here is to select the vehicles that you want to have the report generated for. Keep it simple, we'll select them all. Then we go to Options and select the time period. And let's look at this month. We could just as easily have picked any of the other predefined time periods, or custom, in which case we would set the time period for ourselves. Now, we have two types of reports, either a detailed report or a summary report. The detailed report provides you line-by-line detail of the individual visits to the sites. The summary report simply tells you how long the vehicle was there on a given date. The historical data can be included where we've changed devices in vehicles over the lifetime of the vehicle. You may have created the old data from the pre-existing device as a historical data set. If you want to include that in the report, you simply click on here. In this case, we'll leave it off. You can run the reports by device or driver. The driver option only applies if you have driver ID. The next step is to determine what types of zones we want to have included in the report. If we click here, we'll get every zone in the system. That's a little bit coarse, and so we're going to go and select customer zones only. But all of the various zone types that we have created in the system are subject to selection here. Let's pick the customer zones. The next step is that we can choose between individual zones or select them all. And again, let's select them all rather than trying to narrow the selection criteria down to individual zones. Then click on Apply Changes. The server then goes and produces the data. Now we want to reformat it in the advanced form so that we can download it into the Excel report on our desktop. So this has now been completed. I then click on the Excel icon here, and we'll save it as customer visits. And save it on the desktop. And the icon has now appeared in the download bar. So I'll click on the Excel icon and open up the Excel report. Enable editing. And now what you see, I'll just widen these columns out a little bit so that we don't have those dots in there. Now what you see is the individual details of the various customer visits that have taken place. If you put the mouse in the body of the report, it brings up the pivot table and you can add or delete devices or information from the report. In this case, driver is not relevant. We don't have driver ID in the report. Notice that it eliminated a column, but it moved everything over one, so I now had to reformat to widen the information out. So reading across the top, this vehicle, which is part of the device group entire organization, arrived at pinpoint new location on April 1st at 8:58. It departed at 10:08. It came back at 10:53 and departed at 6:21. Moving the slide bar over, it stayed there for an hour and 10 minutes. Then it stayed there for 7 hours and 27 minutes. Scrolling down the column, what you have is a total that says this vehicle spent 112 hours and 18 minutes in customer zones during the month of April. If I want, I can show you how you get rid of some of the fields here. Distance of arrival is not really relevant here. What we're really interested in is the time and the time only. So I just unclick on distance of arrival, and you see that the report has now narrowed down to the column that simply has the time in it. So I can also do things down in the pivot table to change the order in which the data appears on the screen. If I move zone up to the top of this section here, now the data has been reformatted so that the zone is the first sort criteria, and then the vehicle, and then the device group, and then time of arrival, departure, and the total time. You still have the same 112 hours for this vehicle at this particular location, the 11 hours for this vehicle at this location, but it's just been reformatted so that the report layout is different on screen. Thank you very much. If you have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to contact us at the telephone number shown here or the email address shown on your screen.